Hello there everyone, welcome back to Alpha Tauri. We're about to start round 15 in Italy. Things have been going pretty well so far. We have a fairly good lead. Unfortunately last time around we did have a few incidents with Tsunoda's perfect run getting broken. Generally just a bad time all around for kind of both our drivers really. But we're going to be trying to see if we can have a bit of a better one this time around. Now we do have a bit of damage to our powertrains. In this case the engines are starting to get slightly worn. This is the second engine though, so we might actually go ahead and use it for this race just to kind of manage the wear a little bit more. But currently we will, as I said, try and manage the wear, try not to use too much money, although we don't actually have any real money concerns at the moment because we're currently upgrading our design center. It'll be done for hopefully next year, we'll have to see. It should be, honestly. We should have it done a little bit before Christmas. And we're also going to try and do the same for suspension sim to give us the best kind of starting point for next year, where we will be trying to do an all-new driver lineup with female drivers. And unfortunately, they are going to be around the 60 overall rating because there aren't any, huge talents really that are higher than that, unfortunately. So it's going to be a bit of an interesting one, but I think it's gonna be a fun little experiment. Let's put it like that. So let's see how that actually works out next year. For now, though, however, we are going to continue with what we were doing. We're going to get into the next few races here, and while we do have, what is it, 9 races to go. We should still be fine. Probably going to take 3 episodes to get this done, but I wouldn't be too concerned. We also have 3 sprints, which is going to make, life a little bit more interesting as well. But that should be just fine. Let's jump into the next race here, see how we do. And let's get Tsunoda his championship. Not the best qualifying here, but considering that the 3 cars in front of us all have penalties to take, it shouldn't actually be a big concern. Also, they're going to struggle to, kind of get through the field here potentially, because depending on how far down they get pushed, they'll have some, slower cars that they'll have to contend with. Sainz is going to be a bit of a threat, potentially Magnussen. But with Leclerc, Russell, Verstappen all taking penalties here, we should be good, even if we are going to be running a little bit of damaged machinery, because, well, with 9 races, including this one, and about 3 more sprints to do. Let's say that with the sprints are half a race, which is basically what they are. We need to have enough engine left for 10.5 races. If we say that a race, well, let's be a little bit on the high end here. On average, I think you lose about 5 to 6% per race in terms of engine wear, for us at least. So this one would go down to 40 if we went for it, but what we are going to do here is actually go ahead and use this engine for this race, and then we'll switch to a new one. To be fair though, I did make a huge mistake here. I should have used that fresh engines for quali. There's nothing that stops us from doing that, but I just didn't think properly and, failed to do that. So don't do it like I did. Bit of an error. Test tires here. There's about 2/10 difference between the soft and the medium. Around there anyways, 200s of degradation difference between them as well, meaning 10 laps advantage. I believe it's basically the same here for the medium to hard. It has a little bit more to go on, so let's say 11 laps, but they're pretty close. 24-second pit lane. If we have a virtual safety car or a safety car, we save about 3 seconds, so no point in trying to, hope for one of those. They don't really change anything in terms of the pit stop windows. What we are thinking here though is probably going to be another 2-stopper. It seems to be the best strategy in our books. And we have a medium and hard for Lawson. We have 2 mediums and a hard for Tsunoda, which allows us to do some, interesting stuff. I think we can actually put in a soft stint here and still be quick. Yeah, we can. So we'll do something like this for Tsunoda. As you can see there, it's not a lot quicker than, other 1-stoppers. The 2-stopper here. But again, let's say that we were to do a medium to hard 1-stopper where we do a little bit aggression, and I think we actually end up around the same time. Now this one is just about 2 seconds quicker, so The idea is going to be, depending on how we do, it might be better to do, you know, something else, but it's fine. For Lawson, because of the fact that he has different tires, and I don't want our cars crashing into each other, don't want to give them the opportunity, so to speak, we're going to be putting him on a slightly worse, quote-unquote, strategy, where he'll be starting on the hard. He'll probably get a little bit of a tow there from Sonoda, but I still think this is the best strategy in our books. We should be able to, even with the damaged car parts here, a little bit more damage for Lawson, of course, because, well, he has had a few more crashes than Sonoda. Even with that little bit of damage, I think we'll still be able to eke out a gap big enough throughout this first stint where we can get out in a good spot, so to speak, where we will not have to do too many overtakes after the first and second pit stop. So with that, let's just jump straight into the race here and see how it goes.
All 10 teams are now getting set up as the drivers prepare to face them. Here we are at the oldest circuit in Europe for this, the Italian Grand Prix.
So we have a hard runner behind us, we have a medium runner behind us. Tyre-wise, the soft runners are towards the back, which should make our life a little bit easier. Science does get a good start though, but I think Lawson might come back at him into the corner, or maybe not, he might actually get Sonoda as well. A very good start here for anyone that isn't us, which is a bit concerning.
Overtake available. Copy.
But we'll still try and do our best there to make something out of this. Lawson is going to have a little bit more work, you know, ahead of him now, because we need to get by Norris, we need to get by Sainz. But I can see Verstappen and Leclerc, both of them have been pushed fairly far back. So as long as we can keep a somewhat, you know, decent run here throughout the first stint, we should still be okay. Sainz is considering launching an attack. And I was FIA, you know, video there, cutting away from it. But it looks like we have survived the first lap at least. And in terms of tires here, the hards can go up to 130, which means the mediums can go up to 125. Sonoda in fresh air out front there is not really heating up his tires at all compared to Lawson, interestingly enough. So it looks like we are pretty safe at the current stage. Now, once we've done the first couple laps here where the AI actually pushes very aggressively, we're probably going to end up, you know, in a bit of a lull where we'll be trying to recharge and then run away from the AI, if that makes sense. And in our case here, Sonoda has already pulled a bit of a gap to Norris, and that should help Lawson with getting the overtake done. And since Lawson is getting very closer to pulling gaps to Gasly, to Magnussen as well, we should have no real issues with you know, getting overtakes done, challenging forwards. But right now, it looks like we are struggling a little bit. Sonoda got overtaken, as Lawson is still, you know, a little bit behind. But we are running worse tires at the moment, which are, of course, going to, you know, impact that. We're also not running a very, you know, high aggressive overtaking strategy, but we can tune it up. Both cars are good on confidence, I say, as Sonoda crashes. Front wing minor damage, a little bit damage to engine. I don't think he actually damaged his car
Now this was at turn 1.
in any way, shape, or form. I didn't have a look at the tires though.
And the impact on the car, it's quite clear.
Is that a classic? He turned in on me. I'm wondering who actually gets the penalty there, to be fair. That puts Sainz kind of out of contention. He does get the penalty. I'm a little bit unsure what we do with Sonoda. Didn't actually damage the tires anything drastically there, so it's still good from that perspective, but we're gonna have to just go for a recharge here and then try and get the overtakes done. But I probably should tune down his aggression too now, because, well, the crash there is gonna have a bit of an effect on him. And we'll have to see now. We might need to just pit and get that front wing fixed on probably the first pit stop. I think that's going to be the play here. However, I think we're done with recharging. We'll keep it in neutral for a lap or two. See if they get some moves done. And right now, Lawson is actually caught up by Leclerc. So Leclerc's made short work of the cars between us.
Okay, tires are hot.
And I guess we could have, potentially, a bit of a fight on our hands here. Because I assume Leclerc is on fresh... on a fresh set of compounds. Sorry, not compounds, that's tires. Components is what I'm looking for. We've had another crash.
Watch for debris.
Let's see what happened here. It's Bottas and an Aston, I think. Maybe the Williams get involved too. Basically the same thing that happened to Tsunoda, somewhat. But yeah, as right now, we aren't actually getting away, which is, concerning. So we'll be going with Tsunoda pushing the next available opportunity, which is going to be at the end of the straight if he retains the lead, which he does. And we'll just have him go and push as hard as he can to try and get away from Norris. But as you can see, Norris is actually keeping up, so we might actually just need to try and get Lawson to, fly by on the straight. I think that's the only real, chance that we have here to create gaps. Because it seems like Tsunoda is actually really, really getting slowed down by the damage that he suffered to his front wing there. And even then, we have Leclerc getting ready to fight us. So, yeah, the start of this race not gone as hoped. Let's put it like that. Leclerc is on soft tires though, so we've been holding a bit of an advantage until this point, but still, it's definitely not gone to plan, so we just have to keep things as they are for the time being. We could, of course, as I said, go ahead and pit Tsunoda. It might be the best thing here to pit him onto hards and then push those hards to the end and then go mediums. I think that is actually the best option we have right now, because it definitely seems slower than, he's struggling to keep Norris behind him, and that is concerning. So I don't know how much of an impact it had. Let's see if we see anything in the lap times here. I guess this is the incident. He was running 23. He's still running decent lap times. Let's be honest, these are okay. So I don't think we need to pit him. We can cancel that pit stop. It's just that our cars with the... I guess the engine damage here is probably a little bit more... I wonder if they've changed that too, because it used to be just about a 10th. But if that has become more aggressive as well, then I can understand why we are suddenly so much slower than everyone else. Well, we're not really slower, but we're struggling to stay ahead and get ahead, if you will. And we got both Rebels now, kind of getting ready to get into this fight. I don't understand how Tsunoda is running so cold. We're not really doing anything high risk, driving clean air. He's still running 109 degrees. Is he just not running full attack? Because the track is hot, let's face it, 38 degrees. It's still sunny, somewhat. It's overcast, but sunny. So I don't understand if the damage to the powertrain is actually this much, the front wing too. If the front wing cools down the tires to this degree, that is actually kind of insane. But as you can see, Lawson too is struggling with getting heat into his tires. I don't think there's been any updates, but I feel like something isn't working as intended here, to put it like that. I'm just going to have a quick look here in Steam. Nope. But yeah, this could be a very interesting race then. I think we'll just be trying to run with the cars in front. In this case, Norris and Leclerc will be running with them. I don't think we have much of a choice in this matter. But yeah, as you can see, it's kind of concerning, as I said, that we aren't able to pull away at all. So we'll see what we can do after that first pit stop, because again, the degradation here is... This is also weird with the degradation, particularly for Tsunoda. But if it's like this, then we could potentially run soft stints too. We'll see what we actually end up with here. For now though, we'll keep things going and we'll see where we're at the first pit stop. We have a safety car, so we're going to be pitting both cars here. For sure, there's just no other way around it. We're going to have to do a double stack. We don't really lose time on the safety car, but, well, we don't really gain a lot of time on the safety car. But the thing here is that either if we don't pit, we're still going to be losing out, because as you can see here, the halves need to pit very soon, the mediums they need to pit very soon. So we're going to get him in on the halves. We're not going to be switching the front wing because we can't. Well, we actually can, but we'd lose out a lot by doing so. Because Lawson's running in first, so we're actually safe in that regard. But we can't, because we'll be losing too many places by doing so. Let's see now if we can get this done without any errors. A bunch of cars there in the way. Tsunoda comes out 7th, so yeah, did get held up there. Both Red Bulls came out in front, although we pitted first. I'm pretty sure that we had quicker pit stop times too. Didn't actually see Lawson's pit stop time there, but that's just so annoying that the pit boxes have such a huge effect. With we could basically have had Tsunoda go ahead and get that front wing replaced with how far back he fell. It's very annoying that the traffic is that bad in the pit stops. Well, it does happen in real life too, but the fact that it happens every time here is quite annoying. So we do have potential now. We're just going to have to go high overtake aggression. We're going to deploy, we're going to push. And now the heat looks a lot better. And this is behind a safety car for Lawson. So I don't know what happened on that first stint, but heat is way higher this time around. So maybe it's better, we'll see. I don't know.
Update on tires, update on tires.
Let's see if we can get Tsunoda a little bit further up during this restart. Although gaps are already forming, everyone did pit. The hard runners are probably going to be staying on those hards till the end. So this is going to be a bit of an interesting one. We are going to need Lawson here to pull away from the cars in front as quickly as possible.
Battery is on the low side.
Did use all our battery though, so that is my bad. For Tsunoda, we probably gonna need to harvest a little bit, or we can deploy still. Do have a little bit to go on. Yeah, for Lawson here, he just doesn't have the pace to actually get away from Leclerc. Even Leclerc on hard tires is quicker than him. So that is very, very concerning. So none of those doing great now. He's behind Verstappen. But yeah, as I said, the fact that we just can't keep up with Leclerc on full attack on everything is concerning. But I guess it could be because we're on a Red Bull engine. Leclerc's on a much fresher Red Bull engine, but I'm pretty sure the earlier tests show that it wasn't this bad. Although Leclerc kind of did get left behind right now. So we'll try our best with Lawson. We'll try and create a gap for Tsunoda. Of course, the goal is going to be to catch back up to the front of the field. And we're going to do the best that we can in terms of trying to pull that off. Let's see what we can actually, you know, get going here. Tsunoda has crashed again. Still no real damage to his components, I think, but it's done a little bit of a number on his tires. Verstappen got the penalty. I'd like to see the replay, but I guess I missed it. So, bit of a shame there. But I would assume that this is...
Right then,
that was the wrong one.
Now the Alpha Tauri involved here. They decide to give it a go.
I would assume that this is kind of the same thing that happened earlier with
We will
Sainz.
keep an eye on the tire temperatures. We will keep an eye on tire temperatures.
We'll see what we actually end up with here. Now, for Tsunoda, potentially, he could actually keep this going till the end. Just about. It's going to be close, but just about capable of doing that. For Lawson, he is going to have to pit again. There's just no way around that. We'll be pitting onto a soft tire. And depending on the gradation, he might be in trouble. But there's not much that we can do about that. He's going to end up all the way to the back, though, which is going to be the big concern. We've also pushed the fuel way beyond what we intended. I'm a little bit absent-minded here because I can't understand why we're so slow. But yeah, that's going to be a bit of an issue. So we'll see what we do. We're probably just going to have to keep him running as he is for the time being for at least a couple more laps. As long as he's running with the, you know, the cars in front, he should be able to regain fuel no problem. And that's going to be the goal here. We are going to have to pit probably this lap, get onto the soft tires. He should be quick, but as I said, he's going to be coming out pretty far back, and that's going to be, you know, the real concern here. So this strategy might have been very, very wrong. We might need to tune Tsunoda down to aggressive, but I think he'll still be fine. So we'll just keep him out for now, as he is. And Lawson comes out here in 14. So the next 13 laps, he's going to have his work cut out for him. And we're going to have to, you know, put him onto high overtake aggression. I think we're still going to have to regain to about 0.3 deficit. And then work from there. But I am expecting Lawson to be quite a lot quicker now. And if he isn't, that's going to kind of give us that little bit of a hint that they might have tweaked the engine since the last time I played. Because, well, since last time I checked, rather. Because I haven't actually been testing the engine since they showed that, one component isn't actually that bad to use. Which honestly was fine by me. But if they actually made them, you know, more like 22, which is basically what the last patch did, it made a lot of the systems closer to their 22 status, then I can see why they suddenly, you know, have a bit of a drop in performance. So I might go back to the save, have a bit of a look, see if I'm wrong, because that is very likely an option here. It's just me misremembering things and hoping for things that aren't true, so to speak. But that could very well be the case, that I am not completely remembering things correctly. So I'll go back and have a bit of a look there, see what I figure out. But for now, we are getting very close to the end of this race. We have Lawson now up in 10th. Can he catch Tsunoda? Potentially. He is 22 seconds behind the lead, but he's only 13 seconds behind Tsunoda. He is running half a 10 quicker, but he did have traffic in last lap. He has traffic on this lap. So, I don't know. Is it viable? Potentially. But yeah, I think Tsunoda is going to be fine just staying on these hards. I think I've, you know, put myself in this corner before where I've been wrong. But we'll see what we can do here. Lawson will be trying to get his best in catching the rest of the team. And we'll see where we end up towards the end. Lawson is still currently hunting down, as you can see, Albon and Gio here. We still have laps to play with. Gets one move done. We'll probably get the second move done here fairly quick too. Wouldn't surprise me, to be fair. Now, potentially we could also get Verstappen. That is the interesting part here. But as I said, I probably have somewhat underestimated how harsh the degradation of the components are. Because as you know, we've had a fairly dominant season. Probably speaking to, you know, the choir here. But we've had a fairly dominant season. I didn't expect us to lose this much performance here. I'll have to have a look at that. Also, the tire deg has not been, you know, anything near what we kind of expected. We're going to have to tune Tsunoda down just so he makes it for these last 5 laps here. Might even need to turn him to light. But yeah, tire deg has not been nearly as aggressive as we expected. The heats have been a bit of an issue. We might actually reach a point where we are putting too little heat into the tires. So, personally, it's a bit bewildering, but I guess I'll just have to, you know, eat the sour fruit, if you will, and have a look at the performance again from a different perspective. Probably, you know, make it back over this race maybe and have a look at it there. Tsunoda decides to lock up to make things even, you know, worse for us, because he now has tires that can't do really anything, and it's still a few laps here to go. It's gonna make his life kind of hell, but honestly, at this point, there's nothing we can do.
Copy.
And we have Tsunoda being very unhappy. But yeah, at this point, there's nothing much we can do for Tsunoda. We'll just have to have him sit behind Giovinazzi here. Although this is once again a driver error for me. Actually, this episode should just be called Manager Errors, because that is basically what is happening. But yeah, Lawson is getting his stuff done with Verstappen's penalty. As long as we get Gasly, we should be able to get him on the podium. But yeah, as I said, I might have severely underestimated, due to some testing early in the season, just how bad these damaged parts are. How bad of an effect they would have on the car. But at the same time, it feels like pushing aggressive isn't working as well here, I guess I could say. But even then, we shouldn't be, I feel, seeing this much of a difference. So I'll have to run another test some other time. Again, I do sound like a broken, you know, bell, broken, whatever is right twice a day. But yeah, I'm probably complaining a little bit too much about this, but at the same time, I just find it baffling, and I'd like to investigate it once I get the opportunity to. For now, though, Lawson is not having a very good time. He is behind Verstappen. Might be that we'll have to be happy with 4th here, because Verstappen is kind of in the way. But Yeah, he is definitely kind of in the way. Might need to just order him to drive in clean air to get the overtake done, but at this point, there's not really anything we can do. Tsunoda is also falling somewhat backwards, so we'll allow him to deploy as well. And hopefully that'll be enough with attack for us to potentially get that 7th place back from Gio. But instead, we run off the track again.
Here's the replay. So we're heading now into turn 5. And wide they go, leaving the racing.
Runs fairly wide, but again, it's disaster class here at this point, honestly. Minor underflow damage too, gonna cost us a little bit of cash.
We don't have enough battery.
At this point, the only thing we're really lacking is just that puncture,
Okay,
so to speak.
P5.
But yeah, I can call this manager complaints, manager error. I understand that I've been probably very negative during this race, but again, it's one of those things that I just don't understand how we were so slow. So we'll have a look. Could be that the other teams have developed their cars. Could be that I've underestimated how much the engine has to say on this track in particular. But yeah, this was horrendous. That's the best way I can put it, unfortunately. So Lawson ends up 4th, meaning that we are going to have to pay a little bit of, penalties. Leclerc wins, Russell 2nd, then we have Gasly with a podium. Norris 5th, Verstappen 6th, Giovinazzi, Albon, Sainz, and then Tsunoda. Driver Championship then, Tsunoda still retains the lead. Honestly, can probably sit out most of the remaining races and still be fine. Lawson forced down to 4th, meaning that we have a little bit of a fight now for 2nd. And we still have a healthy lead, but we can't keep on doing things like this. It is a bit unfortunate, but yeah, as I said, we did fail the finish position streak. Luckily, we got everything else, but at the same time, it is very unfortunate, but we'll just have to deal with it, honestly. We'll be trying to use new engines this next race, and we'll see if we get back to more of a dominating position, because like, as I said, that was a bit concerning for several different reasons, but it is what it is. We'll just have to deal with it. Mini wins F2, Novalak and Colapinto 2nd and 3rd. I am still harping about it. I really should get over it. Boya wins the F3 championship with Frederick and Yanni on 2nd and 3rd. Trident as a team winner. MP Motorsport 2nd, and then we have Art Grand Prix at 3rd. The car part inspection, we have some destroyed parts to the front wing, the underfloor, the rear wing, and the suspension. Again, nothing we can do with that. We'll just have to replace them. And that can be easily done as so. Of course, we're going to be manufacturing new ones to make up for the ones that we have, replaced and lost, if you will. But it shouldn't be an issue. We'll just go through the warehouse and get that fixed right away. So chassis, we're going to need one more. Front wings, we are looking good. Rear wings, going to need one more. And I think that's us using all of our manufacturing capabilities. We are. So we'll go ahead and deal with the rest of the warehouse some other time. Let's put it like that. We'll have Singapore up next, which is incidentally this weekend's Grand Prix. Let's see how we perform. And we get the front wing manufactured. We should be getting the rear wing manufactured too, which means that we can actually go into the warehouse now and have a look, because suspension, I believe, is one thing that we were missing. We're going to have to improve on that one. And side pods were still looking good, so we don't really need to do anything with those. Research has been completed here. The suspension research, which I believe is another huge gain, brings us up to about 50% average, as you can see. Suspension did take the biggest hit. We did use a couple of CFD periods on it. But in this case, we're actually just going to go right ahead. Actually, we can't, because we have run out of the research slots here. We did pick up the boost where we have 6 slots, but unfortunately that has run out, so yeah, we're gonna have to wait for a couple of research to finish before one more slot opens up, and then we'll see where the pieces are at. Underflow has been manufactured. The engine is in poor condition, I know. We'll just have to deal with that. The monthly car development report puts us still in first, but we'll have a look at that before the next race, because as I said, I'm curious if the AI has actually outdeveloped us here, because that could also explain why we had such a terrible performance. New ATR period starts. We'll have to see exactly where we want to invest that one. I'm a little bit unsure. We will check the board summary, if you will, for our CFD before we make a decision. We could speed up the upgrading of the hospitality area, but we're just going to go ahead and ignore that. I'm not too worried about getting the team attractiveness up. You know, a week earlier, it's fine to wait. No need to spend the cash, even though we do have it. The board still has high confidence in us. Honestly, I'm curious about what they felt about Monza and Spa-Francorchamps. They're disappointed, you know, unsurprisingly. Satisfied with our finances? I feel like they should be delighted, but that's fine too. They're happy with everything else. We're still on target. We are, you know, doing what we are expected to. So that is good. I did actually skip over the driver, you know, development update, but here it is. Adaptability and reactions for Sonoda, smoothness, defending, and reactions for Lawson. We'll take that, 3 and 2 points. And for Contreras here, get some cornering, get some accuracy. Did I not put her though on the braking? So she's developing out anything but her braking while being on this this training. That's hilarious to me. Now in terms of the pit crew, they're currently tired. Yeah, they're going to be weary for Lusail. We're going to give them some extra rest before then, because, well, currently our pit crew is maxed. We haven't actually jumped a season since the latest changes to the pit crews. So we're going to go ahead and just accept this, because, again, we aren't going to get anything different. The reason why the error chance goes down here is due to them being, as you can see, well rested rather than anything else. So we'll go ahead and just confirm that calendar. We don't really need to do anything in particular with it, because of the fact that, well, nothing we do will change anything. Research has been completed. We got the chassis completed now. Gives us, brings that also up now to about 50%. Still going to put in a little bit more research, of course. Rear wing research has been completed, which puts that up to about 50%. Honestly, I like to have, oh sorry, that was the chassis. 55% around there, 56, 57. Honestly, would like to put in a little bit more research into the rear wing. Suspension right now would still give us some decent stat gains. The rear wing though would also give us some pretty decent stat gains too. So we'll have to make a decision here what we do now. I'm thinking we'll have a look and see what we would gain if we were to invest a full CFD period into the rear wing. Gain a little bit of top speed, a little bit of DRS effectiveness, a little bit dirty air tolerance. I like to see the effects on the other parts too. Let's say that if we were to put another full investment into the suspension here, you can see that we get a little bit of low speed, we gain some top speed, we gain a little bit more brake cooling, but I don't know if this is going to be worth it to put another CFD period into it. But to be fair, CFD period should be put into your lowest parts for maximum efficiency, if you will. Well, not really. Doesn't matter. It's daily anyways. It's if you do intense. So my bad. Right now though, chassis is low. Front wings are low still. Rear wing still low. Side pods need a bit of work. Underfloor has had a little bit of work. Suspension has had a decent amount of work. But it's still going to be basically on the fresh side there. So I believe that also doesn't have the newest update in it. So it's still not accurate. I think what we're going to do here potentially is just do another... I kind of tend to do chassis, but again, it's less stats. It's not as efficient. Well, don't get me wrong. It's still very efficient. But the low speed cornering is more valuable, I feel. So we'll see what we do. I think for now, though, we'll just do another rear wing project. They take longer, don't get me wrong. But I think this is probably the better thing to do. And we'll see here if we maybe do underfloor with the CFD time. If we maybe do front wing with it. Side pods even could also be an option, because the suspension and the side pods in particular are the most important parts for your cooling of your brakes and your engine. So those could be still very viable options. Underfloor research complete. Chassis manufacturing complete, along with the suspension. Meaning that we are, for the most part now, I believe, caught up on parts, which is good. And let's see now what that underfloor actually gave us. So we're up about 63% now for underfloor, which isn't bad. It means it's not great. It's not greatly developed, but it's starting to get there. And if we were to put in CFD and wind tunnel time now, what exactly would we get? we're already looking to getting far more than we did if we put it into the chassis. We're getting some speed, we're getting some cornering ability across the board. So I think we're actually going to put the CFD period into, or ATR period, sorry, into the underfloor here. The underfloor is fairly developed, but again, it's if you do intense, it's not for your CFD time, it's just based on a daily gain. So we're going to be putting it into the underfloor because again, it's a nice base that kind of reinforces every asset of our car, and then we can adjust these stats based on what we have or lack from other pieces. So we'll be going for this one engineer, and that should be acceptable, honestly. Staff here, we do have a Speedrun contract, expiring. We will be giving him a new one, but probably not during our race weekend. Singapore Grand Prix, the race prep here, finish position streak. We'll try once again, top 3, 5 races. And we'll go ahead and say that one of our drivers is going to be finishing top 3. Q3, Q2, we're going to get both drivers into, both of those. And we will be using fresh engine this race weekend just to see if we're doing better. And before we go into it, we'll have a look at the car analysis here. Because again, I do feel I was probably bitter is the best way to describe it during that last race, so I apologize for that. But it's mainly stems down to the fact that I can't understand what was going on. We still have the best car, that's the thing. We're lacking a little bit in the high-speed corners, we're lacking a little bit in top speed. But I don't think we're that far behind. Let's see, is it Red Bull that has overtaken us? No. Is it the Ferrari? No. Is it the Aston? No. I'm actually confused here who has overtaken us there. It could be Alpine. It is. So Alpine is the one that is beating us in the high-speed corners, but still, we hold a fairly significant advantage over Red Bull here, particularly low speed. We have about 0.06. We have a smaller advantage on the medium speed, and over an even smaller advantage on the high speed. So cars are getting very close to each other again, so I can understand then maybe why we were struggling so much as we did. But at the same time, it's kind of hard to understand that from just the perspective of the cars are getting equal.
Our Formula One
so I would imagine that maybe they have made the damaged car parts there be a little bit more, have a little bit bigger of an effect. So it's hard to say, of course. Don't know exactly what is going on myself, but it's gonna probably require a little bit of testing to figure out. For now, though, again, I'll see if this was maybe just an anomaly, maybe a bad race from my side. But for now, we'll focus on getting into Singapore. We'll get practice done, and then we'll see if we have a better result here, hopefully. Qualifying gives us hope that what happened last time around might actually just been straight down to the engines, because there have been some changes. I haven't actually seen anyone mention anything about, yellow engines being way worse now. Earlier, they were about a 10 each for yellow engine, yellow ERS, yellow, gearbox. Last time around, it seemed to be more. But at the current stage, as you can see, Leclerc is close to us, within a 10th. But if you look down to Russell, to Verstappen, they're further down the grid order. So I'm still a little bit confused, honestly. But this does kind of, give credence to the fact that they might have changed how yellow, components interact. But it could also just be me being a whiny baby. We'll see. But again, I probably should do some testing probably with this same save of Imola. We'll see what happens with that. Probably if there is something behind it, might make a video on it in a couple of days. If not, probably just an update on my YouTube page, just a written statement about my failure to realize what was going on. Singapore, though, we're ready. Compound performance here. The softs are about 4/10 quicker than the mediums. They also degrade 400s quicker, meaning that within 10 laps, the softs are going to start falling off to the medium. Medium to hard is another 4/10, but just 300s degradation, meaning that mediums are better than hards for a little bit longer. Probably in this case, what would it be? 12 laps, 13 laps, 14 laps? My mind had a little bit of a freeze there. In terms of pit stops here, 27 seconds, so one of the longer pit lanes means that the two stoppers are less viable. But we'll still try and make something happen. Now, because of the fact that we had rain for one of the practice session for quali. We have 3 mediums and a hard here for Lawson, and for Tsunoda it's the same, 3 sets of mediums and a hard. So that does give us some options here for some fun strategies. Mainly just that we start on the mediums, we go into the hards, and degradation here is fairly, you know, excessive. So unfortunately, we don't actually have an extra medium, but we could do something like this where we run the mediums in a more aggressive manner, and we run the hards on full attack. And that should still be fairly quick, but again, it's not. It's going to be a little bit awkward around here. It's not a lot quicker than any of the other strategies. Well, not a lot quicker. I say about 20 seconds quicker. It's still a lot, but I think this is the best option that we have, and we'll have to see. We might need to run this hard a little bit, you know, less aggressive. And in Tsunoda's case, we could try something far more aggressive, which is a 3-stopper by adding 2 stints, a medium and a soft. And see if we can make something like this work. Is it doable? Potentially. Is it gonna work? Debatable. Let's be honest. This would be a fairly debatable strategy, because I find that it's 3 pit stops. Is it quicker than these? Yes. 40-29 versus 40-29. So in theory, the 2 strategies should be around the same pace, but we can have Lawson basically kind of get pulled up by Tsunoda. I think this is the best bet that we have right now. So we'll put them on a little bit of a different strategy. Lawson here, we can always switch over to Tsunoda's strategy if we see that the degradation is, you know, higher than expected, or in the, you know, lower than expected. We'll put Lawson over to Tsunoda. If it's higher than expected, we'll just switch Tsunoda over to Lawson. And with that, we basically have some flexibility on how we're going to be doing stuff. So I still think this is good. We'll be starting 1-2. We do have a little bit of a concern here with the ERS. Lawson's down to 44. Tsunoda's down to 49. This is the last ERS that we have. So we're going to have to replace that probably next race weekend.
The drivers, we're just moments away from the Singapore Grand Prix. And it's lights out and away
Interestingly
we go.
enough, we have some hard runners, but for the most part, I'm seeing a lot of medium. Some soft runners towards the back. Lawson has a good start, keeps ahead of Tsunoda. Tsunoda is, well, retains his position, which is good. We'll tune both down to lower risk taking. Makes our life a lot easier. And the goal here now for this first lap is going to be fairly straightforward and simple. We want to get away from everyone else. Russell is running third, then Leclerc, Ocon, Verstappen. They are 3 cars on hard tires behind us. We should definitely not have any, you know, huge problems getting away from them, I would hope. But we'll see exactly what goes on there. We have already eked down that 1 second gap, so if we can keep this going, pitting around lap 16 shouldn't be too much of a concern. And I think we're ready now to just speed things along. Again, we are going to be tuning Lawson down to a bit more of a careful strategy. So at the end of this lap, we'll tune him down to aggressive, and we'll have him run. We'll probably have him let Tsunoda get by, mainly just so that Tsunoda can, you know, kind of act like a pulley to Lawson and help drag him along. And I think that should be perfectly okay to do as a strategy here. Tune both of them down in terms of their ERS usage as well. And as I said now, because Lawson is ordered to drive in a bit of a slower manner, we'll tell him to not fight his teammate, and then he should, unless he, you know, loses a tremendous amount of time, which he did there, should have told him to do it in a corner, hopefully get pulled along. But it is what it is. I made an error there. We'll just have to deal with that. For now, though, we will be pulling, you know, pushing the fuel here down to probably 1.5 kilos. It is Singapore. Incidents are very likely. And in terms of the lap times now, we're in 34.4s. Lawson ran really slow because, of course, he got held up by us switching over the running order. But it should be gaining a little bit on the cars behind. And he'll be going to lap 21. Tsunoda will be going to lap 16. And so far, it looks like degradation is not as harsh as expected. Okay. We're going to be switching Lawson over to Tsunoda's strategy because of that. Because if the degradation is not as intense as anticipated, then we have no concerns with, you know, putting him onto a more aggressive strategy here. It should be fine. Although, in that case, I should have just had him run with Tsunoda. But, yeah, that was an error on my part. We'll see, though, if they can keep degradation, you know, within the acceptable windows. We still have a little bit to go on. Safety car deployed, though, does kind of throw a monkey wrench into those plans.
Now, who is that?
But Norris has crashed out.
Norris.
Damn, that was an interesting stop. However, because they got held up so much, is it viable for us to pit? It is. It turned into a red flag, so we'll be pitting anyways. I think what we'll do here is we'll move over to just another set of mediums, honestly. I think that's fine. Or we can go hard here, because a lot of the cars behind us have used their hard compound. They shouldn't have to. So what I'm thinking is that we get both our cars out in the hard, we use it up. Well, at least we try to use it up. And then we have two mediums and a soft as, you know, a bit of insurance. We could go medium here just for flexibility. It'll allow us to, you know, have more flexible decisions on what we go on next. But I think the play here is going to be probably the hard tire and go long. And it's going to be the same for Tsunoda. We'll be basically putting in probably two medium stints instead. We'll see what we can do. But we'll be going out on a fresh set of hards for the restart.
Red flag. Red flag.
A sense of deja vu here as the drivers.
So we have soft tires behind us, which honestly means that as long as we hold them behind us, we're happy.
And away we go.
We'll be switching to deploy, of course, for both cars.
Overtake
And
available.
as you can see, yeah, Verstappen is on hards. Not really many cars on hards right now because of the kind of change here. But Lawson here is now going to have a bit of a fight on his hands. He's kind of being Tsunoda's shield at the moment. Leclerc is launching an attack. Lawson is still not giving up though. So with having the inside on this next corner, it should be fine. Or maybe Leclerc will be able to, yeah, just barely eke himself ahead. Bit of a fight here. We like that though. And hopefully we can have Lawson end up in front. Looks like he did win out that little bit of a battle, which is good. And honestly, even if we end up with Leclerc running with us here, he is on softer compounds, so it's not a complete loss for us. And what we do want to do here now is actually setting up that new strategy of ours, because we have to change how we're planning this race now. And the main concern is, can we make it to the end like this? Not really. So I think this final stint is going to have to be just an aggressive medium stint. It's going to be potentially slower. Maybe, but I think this is the best option that we have ahead of us. Of course, unless we get safety cars or something else happens. So that is what we'll be going for. Now, in terms of Lawson and Tsunoda here, honestly, I don't have any problems with them running next to each other right now. If we can get away from the soft tires of Leclerc, that would actually be quite amazing. And they're actually doing that. So I would assume that the main reason why we had such a horrendously disappointing performance last time out is probably a result of, as I said, the yellow components potentially being changed a bit. But it could also just be me huffing a bit of copium. I know that I'm, you know, preaching to the choir here over and over about something that has already happened, but I'll have a look at that some other time. However, with those things now as they are, we're 2 seconds ahead of Leclerc. We should be able to, I think, maintain this lead. And Verstappen's the only other hard runner. There's some soft runners here, which will make our pit stops, at least on the hards here, a little bit more bearable. And we'll be trying to pull away now enough that when we do pit on this set now, we'll be able to get a bit of advantage over the other cars. So we'll be pushing as hard as we can, and we'll see where we're at once we reach that pit stop of ours. We have an incident here with, well, Red Bull and Russell. Let's see what actually happened here. Ooh.
Come on, really?
Yeah, that wasn't great. No safety car though, by the looks of things. They'll be pitting, I think, both of them fairly early now. And that opens it up for us as well, because as you can see, Lawson and Tsunoda are still running together, worryingly enough right now. But they are doing well. They've gained about 15 seconds down to third place Verstappen here. And Russell does pit, but Leclerc keeps going. Did he not have any... No, he didn't actually have any real damage, so his damage is going to be the 5 seconds during the pit stop. Mainly, Russell here came out, we're exactly all the way to the back, so the pit stop really did hurt him massively. But yeah, as long as we can eke out another 10 or so seconds, we'll be perfectly content with where we are. We still have some use left of these tires, and as you can see, Tsunoda's degradation is far lower than Lawson's. Lawson's is actually following what we expected. So currently, I'd say we're in a very, very promising position, where that if we can, as I said, keep on extending the current lead, we can potentially pit in absolute safety. So we'll see what we can do with the last 20% here of Lawson's tires before we need to pit him. For Tsunoda, I think we're going to keep him out longer, put him on a medium, and once that medium is burnt up, we'll make a decision on if we put him onto a soft or if we put him onto another medium tire. For now though, we'll tune down the fuel and we'll see where we stand once we actually get to Lawson's pit stop. Right now, I believe that Verstappen is running a lot quicker than us currently, as you can see. We started losing time to both Ocon and Verstappen, which is concerning. We'll see if that continues being as it is. Because if so, we might just have to order Lawson here to kind of get out of the way. Slow him down a little bit on purpose. Last lap, 34.9, 34. I guess Verstappen overtook Ocon. Maybe. I don't know. But it was quick that last lap. And potentially here, the gaps could start shrinking. But for now, they're looking good. So we'll speed things up, as I said, to Lawson's pit stop. We're getting exceedingly closer to Lawson's pit stop. We're going to be pitting in this lap. I think it's just the easiest option here. And as you can see, it's estimated to come out fourth because of Ocon and Verstappen. Ocon should be pitting soon. Verstappen is fine staying out. We've also had a lot of the AI start pitting as well. Mainly the soft runners. As you can see, they've fallen pretty far back down though. Tsunoda pulls off a little bit of a spin, which means that we'll be pitting him too now.
Copy.
And he'll be coming out probably behind...
There's a yellow flag now.
Behind Lawson as a result, but as you see, Lawson comes out just about behind Ocon. I'm curious about just how much time Tsunoda lost on that spin, but he's been having a lot of driver errors the last 3 races, which is, you know, well, 4 or so races, which is a bit concerning. So we'll have to see how we deal with that. Does come into the pits now. Let's see where we actually end up. But you know, coming out should come out fairly far behind Lawson because of that spin, and this allows him to actually run a little bit in. You know, somewhat free air. And I don't think Lawson is going to have any problems pulling away from Ocon within a reasonable time frame. He already has. So for now, we'll just leave our boys as they are and see if they can chase down, you know, the cars in front of them. We're getting increasingly close to that final pit stop. Verstappen finally pits off his hard tires. He's still on that very same set of hards that he was on when we first pitted. Puts him down into 6th. But Sainz are going to need to pit. He goes on to soft tires. We have Magnus and Piastri. A lot of cars are needing to pit, including Leclerc, before the race is over. So we have a lot of, you know, time to work with here. Now, Tsunoda has actually overtaken and gotten away from Lawson without, you know, any interference, interestingly enough. So it just proves once again he is a bit quicker. I don't understand exactly the logic here, but he did pull that off. And Lawson here is getting exceedingly close now to pitting. We're going to be having him go around another lap. Then we shall be pitting him onto a new set of mediums. And I think that should be okay. Might be able to run him on full attack till the end here, as he is taking these mediums from lap 30 to lap basically 47. And from 47 to 63, 16 laps to go. So it should have no problem doing it with, you know, full attack. But we're going to be tuning him down to aggressive just to be a little bit on the safe side here. Doesn't need to push it. For Tsunoda, on the other hand, he's going to have no problems doing, you know, a full attack stint on the mediums. So we'll have to see exactly what we do here with him. We probably are just going to do the same thing that we did to Lawson here, where we just move him over to aggressive, just so we don't take any risks. And honestly, I feel like that is an acceptable way to do this. Honestly, we don't even need to run them on aggressive. We can run them on a lower aggression level, if you will, and we can still be safe here. So we'll be tuning both of them down to standard, and we'll allow both of them here now to just calmly run towards the goal line. Although I'll be having both harvesting here, and we'll be trying to snatch back that fastest lap from Verstappen. He is on soft tires though, so it could be a little bit difficult, but with the time that we have here, I don't think it's going to be much of a concern. So with that in mind, we'll be trying to snatch fastest lap now with both Tsunoda and Lawson. They both have basically, you know, recharged the batteries at this point. And at this corner, before we get into, you know, the final part of the track, we're going to be tuning both of them up on the aggression, and we'll see if either of them can snatch fastest lap here. Let's see what Tsunoda's first sector looks like. It's green. Same here for Lawson, green sector. We are essentially not going to get fastest lap doing this. Another green sector. Same for Lawson. Tsunoda does snatch fastest lap there with a spectacular final sector. Unfortunately, Lawson doesn't do the same thing, but again here, it's a lot quicker than anyone else on the track. And if we look at, say, the quickest sector here, the quickest or lap record is a 30.9, so we have smashed that as well. We'll take it. But now though, we'll tune the cars down a little bit, we'll regain that fuel that we've lost, and we'll just coast to the end here, unless of course we have, say, a safety car. We are getting increasingly closer to the end here, 3 laps to go. Still Tsunoda in the lead, Lawson second here. But we're actually close enough now where, if we really want to with Tsunoda, we could pit him onto a fresh... Well, I don't think he has. He actually has a fresh set of softs. We could do this and go for fastest lap. I don't feel like it's worth it though. We'd be giving, you know, we'd be giving the lead away. And I'm pretty sure that we have secured fastest laps anyway. So we don't really... It would basically just be handing Lawson a win. To be fair, Tsunoda's perfect season has been ruined, so it wouldn't actually be problematic. It'd probably be, you know, more interesting that way. But we're just gonna take this more, you know, better race than the time we had last time around. And as I said, it seems like the components might be a little bit more aggressive now in how much you lose by degradation or, you know, wear and tear.
Yuki Tsunoda.
Tsunoda pulls up the win, Lawson second. Then we have Verstappen and Leclerc, Ocon, Sainz, Russell, Gasly, Albon, and Italian Jesus scoring some points here. Driver Championship then, Liam moves up to third, a single point behind Leclerc. Actually, a point is all that separates second, third, and fourth. And unfortunately now Rick is pushed out of the top 10. It took all the way up until Singapore for that to happen. Constructors, we have a healthy lead again. Honestly, at this point, I'd say we kind of have won it already. Sainz was quicker than us on the pit stops. Tsunoda and Lawson second and fifth. So DHL is still kind of, you know, in the balance, but we have a healthy lead, so I'm not concerned. We'll take that. And Contreras, unfortunately, didn't have the best practice, but it's fine. We made a decent chunk of money again, and upgrading our suspension center shouldn't be an suspension sim shouldn't be an issue before the final race. Now with this race, we actually have a side pod and suspension failure for car 1. It's not a problem, but as you can see, ERS has hit 40%. The ERS has hit 45% here. So I'm also sure that Tsunoda doesn't actually have an extra one, so he only has this one. So with that in mind, we are going to have to, you know, make some decisions on how we're going to, where we're going to take the penalty. It's probably going to be in Japan. A little bit harder to overtake, but it should be okay. In terms of side pods here, they too now hit about 50%. Gonna need a little bit more airflow work though, I think, and the rest here. So while it is tempting to do another suspension, I think the side pods here are going to have to take preference, mainly due to the engine cooling aspect. It does give a little bit of cornering, a little bit of top speed, but it's also the fact that we're kind of going to need, as I said, a little bit more on kind of all of these. So we'll go ahead and do that and normal research. And we are going to probably end up doing more suspension too before the end of the season. And I also have made a bit of an error here because I manufactured an extra chassis here, a C3, which I didn't need because we have the C2 ones. We can go up to them when we, you know, break the current ones. I kind of forgot about that. We are going to manufacture, though, however, another side pod, and we are going to manufacture another suspension so that we're just up to, you know, the normal amount. We do have a regulation mode here for financial changes. Basically, more money to us, less money to the bottom teams. We're going to be voting against that proposed regulation. Honestly, we don't really need any money at this point. We're basically almost Scrooge McDuck at this point, so we really have no need of any extra monetary aid to some degree. Hospitality area upgraded. Let's see here now if we were to do it again. Hit 20% there, 40. Should basically allow us to get anyone we want, but honestly, I'm happy with it right now. We'll leave things as they are. And the next thing that we will be upgrading is most likely the suspension sim. Takes 71 days, which means that we need to do it late October to make sure that we have maximum condition for next season. So we'll be doing that sometime next month. Now we do have the next race in Japan upcoming, and I don't know if we have time for that, honestly. So I think we'll end it here. We'll set everything up for starting out Japan next time around. But as I said, I'll do a little bit of investigation into the issue that I was suffering in Monza, but I think that in particular the engines probably have become way more aggressive in, you know, the amount of time you lose. So as I said, I'll have a look into it, see what I figure out, but it could also just be me being a bit of a crybaby. It's important to me to be able to admit that I might have been mistaken. I hate peddling wrong information, so I'll have a look at it, and if anyone else has seen anything, you know, like it, feel free to make your, you know, comments, opinions known. And we'll have to also try and remember to get Speedy a new contract sometime next time. Thank you for watching, though. I hope you've enjoyed, even though the first half was rather complainy. I don't like making complainy content, so apologies. Hope you still enjoyed, though. And unfortunately, no stream this weekend, as I just don't have any good windows to do that in, so to speak. Basically, I have half an hour here, half an hour there in terms of free time. For the most part, I want to watch the race. I have a few things that need to be done in terms of class for next week. So, a tad limited, unfortunately. Hope to see you all around next time, though. Bye-bye.